Mayor Jones just recently signed this last wave of the American Rescue Plan Act funds, spending $74 million, with roughly $46 million of it going toward commuter safety, pedestrian safety, and driver safety out on the roads. We caught up with her at a press conference on Wednesday earlier this week where she signed that into law.
We need to do more to hold reckless drivers accountable. How can we teach our teenagers how to drive in a city where the rules of the road feel more like suggestions? They're tragic reminders to all St. Louis drivers. Slow down, obey the rules of the road, or it may cost you your life.
We're joined now by an aldermanic candidate, Daniela Velazquez, who was running against our guest last week, Jennifer Florida, with the big vote coming up on Tuesday. Thanks for joining us on the record.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to hear some sound there from Mayor Jones about this new $40 million, $46 million investment in roads and sidewalks and commuter safety. Well, the Board of Aldermen has already kind of spent all that money. Is there anything more you can do, should you be elected, to make streets, sidewalks, commuting St. Louis safer?
Sure, there's a lot more we can do. I mean, one is looking at the street study to see what all the information we get back from the study to see where these things need to change. Obviously, we know we've seen some terrible, heartbreaking things in the past week or so with areas that need to have a different public safety plan to be more to be safer for the roads.
All these things happen, so it's like a public outrage to see this suffering at such a large scale, and yet the studies you're referring to date back years. Do you get a sense that there's urgency at City Hall to make the city safer now?
I think so, and I think that this next board has a sense of urgency. I have a sense of urgency. So you just asked, what are things that we could do now? Well, yes, it will take time to build roads, but we have traffic laws for a reason and they need to be enforced. So there's part of that. There are solutions that we can do now. One of the other recommendations and something I would like to work on at the board is finding different ways to have automated traffic enforcement.
Red light cameras.
Well, ones that are constitutional.
How do you thread that needle? Because they already took those away.
Well, and that's something I think we'll have to explore. So there has to be a balance between obviously protecting people's privacy, but then if there's a solution to look at that, I think that's something the board should look into. And then beefing up supporting the traffic enforcement where we can.
Is part of it a technological improvement? If I understand correctly, the old system was, well, we couldn't really identify who's behind the wheel. Cameras are a lot better now than they were back then.
Right, and I think with the new iteration is how do we protect people's privacy as well? So we didn't know who to identify with, and we don't want, again, and there's been the issue of surveillance in the city in general that, we don't want to over surveil people, but if we do use these cameras, how can we do it responsibly, protecting people's civil rights, but then also have accountability for drivers on the roads that are not following the laws.
You had some background with the ACLU. We just got back from Detroit where they're using a real-time crime center to great effect. St. Louis has one too. Do you want to see it go away? Do you want to see it change in some way, the way the police use surveillance footage?
So I think surveillance footage, if used, has to be used responsibly. And that's both something I think that people across the aisle can see. So
would you restrain it in any way?
Well, we need policies to manage the data, how long it's stored, where it's stored. I mean, that's a protection for, both crime victims and frankly, if law enforcement is investigating, we just need to have parameters around it. And those need to be set up front, protect people.
The tip of the enforcement spear are, of course, law enforcement officers, police, but right behind that is the prosecutor. Kim Gardner told the public that she still has broad public support. She was voted and elected into office with some 70% roughly of the electorate. So we asked Mayor Jones what she saw in her answer. We have that clip here. You called for the prosecutor to take some accountability. After that, she met the press and defended herself, pointing to her electability. She said she was politically popular and pointed to her political base of support in St. Louis. If her election was held today, could you vote for her?
Well, that's a tough question. Well, her election's not today, and what we're doing in the interim is trying to make sure that we're pulling all of the pieces together and pulling all of the people that are involved in our criminal justice system to the table. I think everyone can agree that our criminal justice system needs improvement and is broken.
There's part of the response from Mayor Jones there. I know you're running in just one ward, so you don't want to alienate voters. You want as many voters as possible. But I'm going to ask you that same question. Could you vote for Kim Gardner today?
I hope that somebody steps up and runs.
You think it'd be healthy to see her face a challenge?
But yes, but here's the thing too. When people talk about this issue, they're talking about it from a very we're talking about in a very polarized perspective. I think the question of voters and the question of the public is if the state has not shown that they have St. Louis's best interest in mind.
Sure.
So if the governor, we didn't vote, we don't want Jefferson City making decisions for us, and in the past when St. Louis has asked for things from the state, that's what's come up. So I think that is the real issue, is what kind of repercussions could happen if things change now.
You mentioned the polarized moment we're in. Certainly there are political reactions, but there are real world consequences too. And it strikes me part of the job of a prosecutor is to cool those passions, is to execute justice so that there isn't the backlash or outrage. How responsible is Kim Gardner for the polarizing moment that we're in? How much of that tension did she create?
Sure, I think everybody can agree that what we're doing in the moment we're in, what we're doing is not working now. And what happened to Janae Edmondson was heartbreaking, beyond heartbreaking. And that public safety is an issue for people in the city, it's an issue for people in the region, and that's something that we have to look at collectively and collaborating. I think this is also an opportunity to take a look at our criminal justice system, because right now we are focused on the prosecutor, but it's also a chance for us to explore what role the judges play, what role law enforcement has, and us all collaboratively need something to change and shift.
We asked your opponent last week when she was here, how come she didn't get Mayor Jones' endorsement? You did. The mayor's endorsing you. I don't know that I've ever seen a mayor so involved in almost half of the ward races in a local. What's going on here? Is the mayor are you gonna be a rubber stamp for the mayor if you get elected?
No, definitely not. But I do agree with the mayor's vision and to the president and the board, Megan Green's vision we have to work together. And I think that there is momentum. I know that we talk about the She&A, and it's the first time we've had an all-women group of people in that position. But I think that there is a moment here to work together, and I think what we've seen in the past in city politics is that we fight each other a lot, and I think that this is a moment where, we don't have to fix those big problems that you talk about, public safety, roads, things that connect even from the city to the county. We have to work together.
Less confrontation, more collaboration is I think how President Green put it. Daniela Velazquez, thank you for joining us, and thank you to our guests, Kara Spencer and Jay Ashcroft this week as well.